What is going on, everyone? Phil here, and I'd like to clear the air. There's something going on right now, a little bit of misinformation all over the internet, and a lot of questions about, I guess, some stuff that has been said by various parties over the last couple of days regarding my possible involvement. It came up on my Oblivion stream tonight, of all times, and I'm like, this is weird because it's derailing my stream. And obviously, you guys know me, if you are a fan of mine, I like to keep things on topic. I don't like to have to interrupt big gameplay sessions talking about nonsense that has nothing to do with said session. So what I decided tonight to do is, after I finished my stream, said, let me just make a video talking about what's really going on, at least from my perspective, so that way people know the truth about my side of everything going on, and that way I'm going to leave it at that. And I really don't feel like derailing my other content talking about this, so I'm making a special video. I'll probably set this as my featured video here on DSPGaming for a day or two, just so enough people can see it, and hopefully this will quell any rumors or anything. All right. So here's the deal. I guess this all started where I guess Boogie went on a podcast. It might have even been the Side Scrollers podcast. I haven't even really confirmed that. And in an interview, was talking about, you know, the whole idea of me, him, and Wings being on a podcast that was going to have Keemstar's involvement. And I guess Boogie still has some resentment there where he's upset. He says things like, I cost him and Wings $50,000. All right, that is completely untrue. I can't cost someone money when I'm not involved with something. All right. What apparently the idea was that Keemstar had is that he wanted to do what he called a lol cow podcast, that he wanted to have it be me and Wings and Boogie. And he was apparently going to pay us $50,000 each as a signing bonus, and we were going to each own a certain percent of the show. And his role was that I guess he wanted to push the show to various platforms and try to get it on there and try to get advertising and try to get product placements and try to syndicate it and essentially make money off of us doing a show. Okay? Now, you guys know me. If you're a fan of mine, I don't like Keemstar. I don't like the content he puts out, nor do I like what he stands for as a person. I think that he's kind of a despicable person. Yes, I think personally he has bad morals or has no morals, and I don't stand for that. I don't want any involvement with the guy. I never wanted to. I would never do business with this man. I already told my story about how last year he was trying to reach me. We had a complete disconnect where he wouldn't even call me at the assigned times he was supposed to call me to even talk about said podcast. So I never knew about it. I never knew what it was. I never agreed to be a part of it. The discussion never even happened. Okay? It's that simple. So, I mean, it's kind of weird that Keem talked directly to Boogie and Wings about it first. Apparently they had agreed, decided to talk to me last, and it didn't work out because he couldn't even contact me, nor did I have any desire to do business with him anyway. Sounds like he was promising something to them he had no right to promise, you know. Oh, I'm going to give you $50,000 if Darkside Phil will do the show too. Well, I'm not doing the show. I had no intention of ever doing it with this man involved. So I don't know how that's me costing them money. That's Keemstar's fault for essentially having an idea and not even seeing if it's something that would be possible, okay? He promised them the world, he overpromised, and he underdelivered. How much have I talked about that in my own content, that you don't do that, right? So quite frankly, I have no involvement in this whatsoever. It gets brought up on my interview with Side Scrollers back in March, and, you know, I'm like, I don't even know what this has to do with anything. I don't fucking care about it. I don't like the guy. I don't want involvement with him. I have no desire to talk to him ever again, all right? So Boogie bringing this up, listen, I can understand if the guy's strapped for cash, he needs the help, and he's sad he didn't get the $50K, but I don't really think it's fair that that's put on my shoulders. I had no involvement with this show whatsoever from the start. I didn't even know what the offer really was because I never talked to Keem about it, nor did I desire to, period. Okay? So anyway, that's part one. Now, part two is, I guess Boogie had mentioned on this interview, or whatever it was, that we had been having discussions behind the scenes about possibly starting our own podcast, and when we're talking about that, we're talking about Boogie, Wings, and me, okay? Here's the truth of the matter from my perspective is we have had very early discussions. I mean, I had been talking to Boogie about this, you know, last year, saying, I don't want to do anything with Keem, but if you want to do something with me, just you and me, we could have a conversation. We could do our own show. We could just interview each other just for the benefit of each other's channels, whatever you would want to do. And we kind of shot back and forth about it for a while, and in fact, I'll be honest with you guys, I was thinking of maybe interviewing Boogie for my new DSP Reacts channel at some point this year. But that didn't work out. As you know, my interview show is kind of on hiatus for various reasons. So it just kind of cooled down and there was no real discussion. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I got contacted by a third party basically saying that this person was representing kind of Boogie and Wings and was going to be the third party to put the whole thing together. No, it was not Keemstar. And in fact, the way it was pushed to me was this will have zero Keemstar involvement whatsoever. So I'm not arranging for any podcast. Someone reached out to me as a neutral third party saying, I'm working on this with Boogie and Wings and we want you on it and we'd like to do a show together, yada, yada, yada. And we've had very few, maybe a few back and forth emails and discussions. We have not met. We have not discussed anything. Like, literally, this is the earliest planning stages of anything you could possibly even think of, okay? But really, we haven't worked anything out. We don't know exactly how it's going to work. We don't know what the schedule would be. We don't even know, I don't even know how we would make it happen yet. What we need to do is kind of sit down and put our heads together. And what I've been told is that could happen and probably will happen after this fight that Wings and Boogie are, I guess, going to have sometime this month. I literally don't even know when it is. I think it's within a week or two. I have no clue because it has Keemstar's involvement. I don't care. I want nothing to do with it. So I'm not paying attention to it. But hey, the fight goes down. Hopefully both of them are healthy and safe after the fight. And then I get contacted again about, hey, let's make this happen. Let's talk. Let's have a meeting. Then I'm all for it. Okay? Now, in the meantime, there was a little bit more conversation. For example, one of the things discussed was that, they figured I don't want to call it the Lol Cowcast, to which I responded and said, yeah, number one, I don't want to be involved in anything that makes fun of us, degrades us, or makes us feel like shit, and calling us Lol Cows does that. I think that's stupid. If we're going to start our own show, it should be a fun show. It's different to have a little bit of self-teasing. It's another thing to make an entire show fully degrading and catering to trolls. I don't want to be involved in that. That's number one. Number two, I guess Keemstar had originally intended to call this podcast the Lol Cowcast, to which I kind of said, I don't think it would be right for us to try to use that name. Keemstar absolutely did come up with that name, and to use that, he could definitely have some kind of a stake to interject and say, hey, I have a problem with that. That was my name, and that was my idea. He's right. I actually, from a business perspective, could see having an issue with someone using that name that someone else came up with. So in that regard, I think we should call the show something different. And I did state that in a couple emails, but that was it. I never had any direct discussion with these people about it. It's just initial back and forth emails, and that's it. And that's that. That's literally it. There's been no major discussion about, money or how the show will work or anything really like that. Again, we didn't even have an initial meeting yet. I'm waiting for that fight to go down and hopefully these guys to be safe afterward, and then for us to sit down and put our heads together and try to figure out exactly how it would work. And that's it. So really, there's been nothing to mention. I figured, what's the point of talking with my audience about it until we've actually sat down and solidified some more details and even know that it's going to happen. I'm the kind of person, as you know, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. Why hype up the possibility of a podcast with these guys if we haven't even sat down to see if it's viable yet? How to make it happen, how to make it work. We haven't. So why talk about it publicly? Boogie apparently chose to talk about it publicly first. So now people are asking me all about it. So I wanted to tell you my perspective, what's going on. Again, as long as this is a show that's not going to be 100% about degrading ourselves, catering to trolls, but instead having a fun show that's maybe about three guys talking about games and pop culture and life in general and news. And yes, it's okay to razz yourself and to make fun of yourself, but at the same time, not to be 100%, toxic, right? I'd be down for that, something like that. In fact, I would welcome something like that. Most of my content's just me talking directly to my audience or to myself. So to actually have a nice interaction with a couple of other gentlemen, I think would be pretty cool. All right? Just being honest. Now, the last part of this puzzle is that tonight, as I'm streaming Oblivion, someone asked me the Boogie question, and I basically gave the answer I just gave, just not in as much detail. All of a sudden, someone starts posting up in my chat tonight, oh, Keemstar just tweeted, DSP is off the Lol Cowcast because he's not responding to emails. What the fuck are you talking about? Have I not made it abundantly clear on the Side Scrollers podcast, in my own content after the fact? I have publicly stated time after time after time after time, I want no involvement whatsoever with Keemstar. Zero. I don't want to be told about him. I don't want to be in content with him. I don't want to have any business relationship. I want to be left out of his mouth, period. I have no desire to have any associations with this man or any of his businesses at all. Now, he's tried to come onto my streams and derail them with his multiple YouTube accounts. They're banned. He's tried to tweet me. They're blocked. I don't want anything to do with this fucking guy. Period. I'm done wasting my time talking about Keemstar. So the guy's publicly tweeting, DSP is out of the Lolcowcast because he's not responding to emails. I was never in the Lolcowcast, you tremendous egotistical brain-dead idiot. What the fuck are you tweeting about? You're a moron. I was never on it and never wanted to be and never will be involved with you in a business capacity. You're nuts. All right? So I have no idea what that tweet even meant. It has nothing whatsoever to do with me. It's probably just another publicity stunt that he's trying to pull to get attention and cause drama for me. I don't care. All right? Let this video clear the air. I have no involvement with him and have no plans to ever again. If I never have to mention the guy again, that's great. But knowing him, he'll keep bringing me up and he'll have to come up again at some point just to clear the air that things haven't changed. But in the meantime, yeah, would I be interested in doing a podcast with Boogie and Wings in some capacity in the future? I think it would be something interesting, at least to explore. Not committing to it, but finding out how it would work. And exactly, you know, how could we make it happen? What would be the premise of the show? My question really is, how would it work? Because don't you need like a host? Wouldn't you need a host to direct the show, to direct the topics and all of that? And who would that be? Would we find another person? Would it be one of us? You know, I'd be down for that. I'd be down for one of them to be the host, whatever, you know. But those are the kind of discussions we have to have amongst ourselves and figure out the format and go from there, which we haven't done yet. You know, so I think it's silly. First of all, I'll be honest. I do think it was silly that Boogie brought it up because I think it's too early. I think it's way too early to bring it up when we haven't even sat down ourselves and had the conversation. Why is he publicly talking about it? I think that is jumping the gun a bit because now you're going to get people excited and you're going to get people talking about it when we don't have anything to offer yet, okay? When we do have that opportunity, I will let you all know, you know, from my perspective, what's happened or whatever. Right now, and by the way, nothing may happen at all either, and that's fine too. I'm cool with making my own content on my own channels. I always have been. That's never going to change, but you always got to look at positive possibilities for improvement, growth, change, and potential. I do absolutely feel there is potential of us to do a show together of some sort, but we need to have those conversations before we promise people that it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And no, I absolutely positively will not be involved in anything with Keemstar involvement, period. So if Keem tries to stick his nose into it, he's done. I'm done. I'll tap right out of it and say, screw this. I'm not involved. And everything up to this point, been told he will not be involved, and that's why I even entertained it. And that's not changing. Okay? All right. I mean, I hope that explains everything. I don't possibly see how there could be any more confusion at this point. That's where I am with it. And, you know, I hope that these guys, Boogie and Wings, are both safe and have a good fight and are okay. I don't support the fight whatsoever. I think it's dumb, but at the same time, I do care for the guys that they're all right after it. And I hope that we can sit down and start talking about the future after. All right? So the sooner the dumb fight ends, the better. Because then we can talk about actually interesting, positive stuff in the future and not the dumb fight to begin with. That shouldn't really be happening. So, guys, that's it from my perspective. I hope that clears the air. All right, guys, thank you so very much. And hopefully see you soon if you're a fan of my content. And if not, at least hopefully this cleared the air and now you know what's going on. Thanks for watching.